We have Carol, the BCBA, here again. And this upcoming Tuesday, we are having a Zoom call meeting where we're going to be talking about the phenomenon of breadcrumbing and how some of these means use intermittent reinforcement. And what Carol is going to do, this woman has created a 77-page PowerPoint presentation for us. Now, this Zoom meeting that is happening on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time will be a 90-minute call. It's going to be a Zoom call and it's a paid call where we only have 15 spots available because we want to make sure that we have enough time appropriated for the situation, but we want to make sure that we don't overwhelm ourselves with too many people. So make sure that you get your spot. So I'm going to throw it to Carol, the BCBA, and she's going to explain to you what you will be getting on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And like I said, there's 15 spots available. So go ahead and get your go ahead and get your payment in. And the payment information will be in the description. All right, I'm gonna throw it to Carol.
Hi. Well, I brought this forward because I thought that firstly, I want to backtrack and say you're one of the few people on YouTube that actually incorporates clinicians in the discussion of what's going on, which is puts you ahead of the curve over a lot of people. So I want to give you props on that. So, which is good. And that makes you unique.
Thank
It
you,
really does.
friend.
You're
Thank you. Thank you.
welcome. So the reason why Bourbon Eye ladies decided to make this thing is not just to let you know about what's coming up, but I see in her videos a lot of questions from women like, why do men do this? Why do men do that? And I'm here and she comes to me and I come to her and I basically tell her as a behavior analyst why men do what they do because it's based on the science of behavior. And with me being a BCBA, that's what I'm trained to do is look at patterns of behavior. And there's clinical research that it just explains it pretty simply. So one of the things from your last video is why men will not change their behavior. Why? That like and I know that's one of the things women I see that over and over. Why won't men just listen to us and change their behavior? And I can tell you why for many reasons. But this all ties into what we are going to be going through in our upcoming meeting on Tuesday. So I'm going to say within ABA or applied behavior analysis, there are behaviors that what we call operant and respondent. And they are the two fundamental types of learned responses, basically. So, respondent behavior, it involves involuntary behavior. So, think of things that you can't really control, like blinking your eyes, going to the bathroom, eating, things like that. You can't control that, and if you did try to control it, you're not going to do well. You're going to be sick. It's just not going to turn out well for you. Now, on the other hand, operant behavior is a learned behavior. So in ABA, operant behavior is characterized by actions that are influenced by their consequences. Respondent behavior is behavior that just happens. It just kind of happens. It's part of you. It's biologically hardwired into your system. Operative behavior or learned behavior is stuff that is influenced by what happens after the behavior occurs. So it kind of changes that. And why I'm bringing this up, especially before our meeting on Tuesday, and even for the women that are not able to attend, is because I want you to understand a lot of the behavior the men are doing is very ingrained operant behavior. Okay, so and when it comes to operant behavior, the longer operant behavior occurs, the harder it is to change. And going back, think about, ladies, how long patriarchal systems have been in place. I mean, for centuries. And the more ingrained it is, the harder it is going to be to unlearn that. So there's certain things that influence that, and I'll just touch on briefly, and then we'll go kind of into little semi detail about what under each thing. So there are several factors that influence operant behavior, and that's one is reinforcement history. The second is reinforcement schedule. Then we have antecedent stimuli, or what we call environmental cues or triggers. It just kind of things that come before the behavior. Okay, it influences what behavior is going to occur. Then you have behavioral momentum. So, an example of this is like a moving objects behaviors in motion. Once they start, it kind of is hard to stop it. So that's especially if there is a high response rate or intensity to it. Then we get into what we look at functional analysis, and we've talked about this before in our other um, our videos and in the live, where we always want to know what the function of a behavior is. And remember, we have attention seeking, escape, tangible. We have the atypical one, which is the control one. And then we have automatic, which are behaviors that you really can't control, you know. Um, so, and then the last thing is you're looking at reinforcement alternatives. So you always want to if you're trying to get rid of a behavior, you always want to give something that's going to mirror that behavior. That's going to be a lot more positive. So everything I'm talking about, we're going to put in the context of patriarchal systems. So things that will kind of help with changing men's operant behavior and why it's so difficult. And it goes along everything I just talked about. So like the first one, reinforcement history. Okay, so within patriarchal structures, men's behaviors reinforce power and dominance over women. And those have been rewarded for centuries, and it's been reinforced. So it's been given a lot of rewards for that. So that reinforcement history makes it challenging to change those behaviors. So because of that, in centuries of that learned or operant behavior, it's become so deeply ingrained and associated with perceived social status and privilege. So that's one reason why. So it's to think about this. If you get something that's really reinforcing to you all the time, you're just going to continue that behavior. So think about centuries of that. That's one reason why. So the second one is the reinforcement schedule. So reinforcement schedule may occur on, and this ties into what we're going and our thing on Tuesday. So it's intermittent. So intermittent means like it occurs, you don't know when you're gonna get rewarded, basically. So in regards to men and why they won't change with their reinforcement schedule, so the acts of like sexism, sometimes it receives really good positive reinforcement through societal norms, media expectations, and even peer approval with other men and women, pick me women, you know. So if they're hearing this, they're not going to there's no motivation to change their behavior. So that intermittent reinforcement, or that reinforcement when they don't know when they're going to get it, but when they do get it, they get a lot of that reinforcement. It makes it difficult to extinguish those behaviors. So the man may continue to engage in them, expecting occasional reinforcement. And when they get the reinforcement, it's big. So that makes it difficult. That's why I've always said, and I disagree, you know, I hear like the extinction burst. You're not going to get an extinction burst with this, not with this. You would have to totally not reinforce that behavior.
Do you remember Mr. Boot State?
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that. Yes.
You remember he got so excited that so many people were, like applying, and he kept on with that that line,
Oh God, yeah. Oh.
and he got way more attention than he usually gets.
Yes, and that is a perfect example. So why would he change his behavior? If he's got all this attention reinforcing it, he's not going to change his behavior. He's more entrenched in doing it. He's like, hey, that's why he got that little cocky attitude, like, oh, yeah, that's
Right.
why. That's exactly why. Because
I gotta plug up this.
he's so reinforced by it, you know?
Yep.
So the next thing we're going to go into is the antecedent stimuli. So remember what I said before, antecedent stimuli is stuff that occurs before the behavior. Okay. So patriarchal societies are filled with a lot of antecedent stimuli, and it reinforces like gender based attitudes and behaviors. So those would be like cultural norms, media portrayals, expectations, societal expectations, and those serve as triggers for men to exhibit interfering behaviors or behaviors that are harmful to women. Okay. So, and a good example of this is within social circles, men may receive praise and validation for exhibiting dominant behavior, such as speaking over women in conversations, taking charge in group settings where women are there. And the women see, they get criticism and dismissal for trying to assert themselves. We see that all the time on social media. We see it in your comments
All the time.
all the time.
We get
All the
labeled
time.
as aggressive or
Yes.
masculine.
Yes. And it's not. It's just assertiveness. It's just assertiveness. So going into that, the next one is behavioral momentum. Okay. So remember what I said with behavior, when like anything that when it starts moving, it's hard to stop it, right? It'll slow down, but it once you get it moving, it's gonna continue. Behavior is the same way. Okay, so within patriarchal systems, behaviors that reinforce male dominance have significant momentum. So, because this has been going on for centuries, things are so deeply entrenched in social structures and institutions and their individual interactions with women. So, it makes it so resistant to change. So even when they're confronted with evidence to that or criticism that counters and say, hey, this is not working for y'all either. The men are so been so taught so long for centuries that they are just going to persist in those behaviors until the momentum changes within the social norms. So that's another reason why. So it just think of it. Once a car, think of an example of a car. Once a car starts getting momentum and going, it takes a break, a hard break to stop it, right? No different with men and their behaviors. And that's one another reason why. So one of the last things, there's two things also we'll bring up the functional analysis. So understanding the function of men's interfering behavior towards women within patriarchal systems is crucial. You need to find out what the function of that behavior is. So those behaviors are going to serve to maintain the power dynamics that they've understood, the control, that counter control we talked about, and it's reinforcing the traditional gender roles. So if you do not address why they're doing that behavior, is it attention, is it escape, is it trying to get hold of something, a tangible, then any attempts we make as women, there it's not going to be effective. So you always have to, when you deal with these men that are like this and sexist towards you and have these horrible behaviors, look at the function of why. Are they doing it for attention? Are they doing it to escape? Are they doing to get access to you? Whether that's through sex, whether that is through trying to get access to your home. What are they trying to get access? Why are they doing that behavior? Once you know why they're doing that behavior and the function of it, you can address that. So you know if it's attention based behavior, what do? You cut off the attention. Just don't give them the attention. If you know
Like
if right, go ahead.
like the gym bros dropping weights and grunting real loud so that you
Yeah.
look at them.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yes, perfect. Or
That's
when
what I
even
think of.
yes, yes. Or the other thing is the pest that want to nest that you talk about. That's a tangible. That is a tangible behavior. So those pests that want to nest are trying to get into your home. What is your home? Is a tangible. It's an actual physical thing or an activity. They're trying to get in there because that's a function of that is a tangible behavior. So we understand that. So those are other examples, right? So the last thing is if we really want their behavior to change, okay, you have to provide alternative ways of interacting, relating that do not rely on power and dominance. So that involves challenging patriarchal norms. You want to promote gender equality. You want to encourage empathetic and respectful attitudes toward women. So the 4B movement that they don't like and they are freaking out about is doing exactly that. Is giving an alternative to them and saying, hey, okay, we have talked ourselves to death on this. You don't really want to change anything because you're being so reinforced by centuries operative behavior on this that's killing both of us. I mean, it's killing, literally killing our planet. Okay. So we are just going to stop, and we're just not going to have babies. We're not going to date you. We're not going to marry you. We're not going to interact with you except when we have to, whether that probably is work, whether that's in a social setting where it involves, having to deal with that. So that's the alternative. So the alternative for women is, hey, 4B. That's why I'm glad I see women that actually sit there and don't fight on and say, okay, it's a win-win for both of us, because you're not happy with things the way they are. You're not happy the way I am. So I'm just pulling myself out of the picture so you can find alternative ways that's going to meet what you need. Okay. So remember what we talked about in the last one. They're freaking out with tantrums. And often these tantrums are attention-based behaviors. They're trying to get your attention. So just continue what you're doing. Okay, just
Right.
continue what you're
They
doing.
they they make me want to make 3 to 4 more videos every time they're speaking.
Yeah, and honestly, they like you doing that because that feeds into their attention. Like, oh, she's paying attention to me.
So,
But yeah, but in their eyes, that's what it means. But we know it's not that, and we know that's why I'm glad you blocked them, because it lets them know that I'm not feeding to that attention. I'm not going to do this. This is not for you. This is for women. Now you can either participate and listen and learn and change your behavior so you can have access to us again, or you're just going to be isolated. So those are the alternatives. I'm not going to reinforce your behavior anymore. And that's why it's really, you're seeing all these men freak out, because you're cutting off attention. You're cutting off attention based behavior. And then I look at them doing escape based behavior, which is their well, I don't know, what is it, the 4G or whatever that is. That's their escape, which to me, they've been trying to do that for a long time. I mean, the red pill move and all that stuff, that's their escape from.
is that the passport bros? Because
Yeah, yeah, that's a form of escape behavior. Passport bros is going to another. That's escape behavior. That's all it is. That's And with escape behavior, what do? You just, most of the time with escape behavior, you don't necessarily let them go, but in this case, as you let them go and you just continue on with what you're doing that helps you. That's that's what what's going to help you out mostly as women. So everything that we talked about before in the original live, I want you to continue to do that. Focus on your assertiveness skills, focus on holding your boundaries. If you do run into a man that wants to listen to you, that really, really wants to listen, give him alternatives of how he can correct his own behavior to change, and have him present those behaviors, those alternative behaviors, to other men and to boys. That's what you want. That's what we want to happen. But so how this ties again into everything that I've been talking about is that on Tuesday, when we have our meeting, we will get into one of those reinforcement schedules, which is the intermittent reinforcement. And like I said, reinforcement can be positive, it can be negative. It's reinforcement's reinforcement. So there are times you want to do intermittent reinforcement, that you don't always want to reinforce a behavior all the time. Okay. Because it's you're going to have better outcome and people learn it better. But breadcrumbing is an unhealthy form of that. So ladies, what I would recommend that you do is do not intermittently reinforce them on how their behavior is towards you when it comes to you. If you choose to do the 4B movement, don't reinforce it. Just do the best you can to not feed into it. Just say, okay, Honestly, just okay, and go about your business. So, but yeah, that's what I just wanted to say, and then lead off with that and answer some of those questions. Because I love how you'll come to me and you'll it's like, hey, why are they doing this behavior? Why are they doing that? This is why.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about what we have going on and having a community of smart women in my network.
Yes.
So you guys have gotten a snippet of what Carol the BCBA is going to give to us on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's $30 to get your spot. If you have your questions, come prepared. But like I said, this woman has already created the PowerPoint for us to learn. So you'll need your paper, your pencil. You can take notes. We hope that you're taking notes because this information you'll be able to help the women in your own orbit.
Yeah.
That's what we have to get to. We have to be a reach one, teach one type of community. And this woman charges about $135 an hour. And so you guys are getting this at $30 for an hour and a half of her time. So I'm going to end this, but this is just the beginning because this is just a snippet, and we'll see her again Tuesday evening, and she's going to come with materials.
Yes. And you'll be able to, like the PowerPoint and stuff, you'll be able to, if you paid into the class and stuff, you'll be able to take that with you and have it as a resource. And I said, as I said it before, after the class, and if you still have questions, I'm available. And you can send me through my, excuse me, through my contact information. You'll be able to email me if you need more one-on-one time. Like I said, I take insurances, things like that. So I can always work with you if you are limited income. Because the most important thing is that you learn the skills and learning how to function in a more functional way. And that's my job, is to teach you as a BCA. My job is to teach you a more functional way to communicate your needs within being assertive, which in holding your boundaries, which also making sure your goals are aligned with your values. And when you do all that stuff and it lines all up, your life is a lot smoother. Not saying that bad things don't happen, because that's life,
Right.
but you'll be able to cope through those bad times a
Okay.
lot better. So
Okay. All right. So we will see you in a couple of days.
okay. Bye.
Bye. All right. Like, comment, share, y'all. Like, comment, share. And if you made it this far, great. Thank you. Go ahead and hit subscribe. All right, Carol, the BCBA. Talk to you a little bit.
All right. Bye.